What's going on, everybody? Tim from Tirfon Orbital. So this is going to be a relatively in-depth walkthrough slash demo video on an install commission that I completed over the weekend. So this is also a surprise hilt. So the receiver of this hilt does not know they are getting it. So I have been asked to not make any posts or in progress, work in progress pics until the client has received this hilt. So it's going to be hard for me not to share this one. This is a really, really unique install and a really, really unique hilt. So yeah, I can't wait to to show this one off to people because I'm kind of stoked about how this one came out, right? So this is a custom scrap flex, scrap tech. It's not a scrap tech. It's like a custom scrap that was done by Nevin over at Stardust Sabers. I believe he is calling this the LiteScrap because it is made with a Graflite grip as the handle. And of course, we've got an upper graflex section as well. So it's a very, very unique hilt. And there are some unique touches to the grip as well, right? So with Graflite grip handles, I mean, I've got one here. These are my bread and butter, right? So I use these for my scraps. They have been relatively easy to come by, but as of late, I have noticed that they are a little bit more difficult to find and the price has gone up on them. So with the Graflite, this version of the Graflite is a little bit different because it has more holes, right? Actually, this is a Graflex. Hold on, let me get a Graflite. Okay, so I don't have a Graflite. Technically, these are Graflex, the Graflex model. This is the catalog number 2772, but they've all got these windows in the grip, right? So because we've got this on this particular install, I utilize these windows for some really interesting shine through, okay? The control box that is on this guy is very interesting as well, and figuring out a solution to not only animating the arrows on this control box, but making the toggle switch functional was really, really interesting, and I enjoyed that process. I've said this before, one of the things that I love about doing custom hilts is engineering a way to make things work, right? I always say, it's possible. That's bitten me in the ass before. But for the most part, I like trying to figure out how to make things work, right? So on this particular build, there is a control box that Nevin has modified, but it did have some red and green arrow lenses, and I wanted to get those animated as well as, like I said, the window. So super, super interesting build. Let's talk about the chassis a little bit first. And then we will go into a quick demo on how to use the hilt and move from there. And we'll also put a bleed in it, obviously, right? So let's come into Fusion. Okay, so here's the chassis that I did for this particular install. We've got greeblies along each side of the chassis. One is a little bit more greebly heavy than the other because I needed to make a channel for my OLED. There is an onboard OLED in this chassis as well. So I created a channel down here that was big enough for my OLED, wired it up, and slid it all the way down so it just sits right underneath this window, right? 28mm speaker at the bottom here. This is from Smuggler's Outpost. Here is our battery tray. And up top, we have a 6-rail PCB. This is also from Smuggler's Outpost. So given the way that the hilt was built, the grip is not entirely modular, right? So I could not do a static chassis. So I went with a removable, okay? And we'll talk about that in a minute when we go over the hilt itself. Proffie board, this is a Proffie build. It sits in this tray. It does slide up underneath this lip. You can get access to the USB and SD card if need be, right? And that's it. Stardust Sabers embossed along the top. And of course, I've got my logo here. And that's it. Really, really short. It's a short chassis. And the first thing you're going to ask is, why is the chassis so short when you see the size of this hilt? But we'll get into that in a minute, okay? All right, so let's come up top. All right, so here it is. So right off the bat, Tim, why is the chassis so small? So initially, I thought I would have all of this room to play with. But unfortunately, as things go with custom builds like this, the internal diameter of this steps down in a couple of places, right? So the only way to get a removable to work correctly and to make a safe connection to those PCB pins, I had to utilize the first like 2/3 of the hilt, because this is all the same inner diameter here. There's like an inner housing, right? So that's why that's so short. But again, I love figuring out solutions to work with some of these unique hilts, right? So here are those windows. Graflite handle usually has these windows. A lot of Graflex have them as well. Okay. Inside of this upper section, so I've got two inner chassis in here, right? So I've got the 6-rail PCB holder that sits like right here. It is held in place with a set screw that is underneath this fin, one of these fins, and an upper resin chassis that's got channels for 2020 Neopixel strips. So there's an entire chassis with channels along 3 sides, and I've got 2020s going down each. So we get animation in that window, okay? Control box is up top. This has been wired up with 2 LEDs, a red LED and a green LED. The green LED does blink. The red is just a solid red, and these are wired in line with the blade, okay? Toggle switches here. This is another thing that I really, I not only wanted to get these arrows lit, I really, really wanted to get this toggle to work, okay? So inside of this control box, I have 2 very small tactile rectangular switches that sit on each end of that toggle, and then we can use it as a switch, right? So to toggle up is your main, down is your aux. And that's it, right? Super, super unique hilt. Very long boy. It's a long boy, but that's okay, right? I'm really, really happy with how this came out. All right, so let's talk about how to use this guy. The pommel does unscrew. Then you want to take your chassis, okay? Spring side is your negative. Take the flat part of your battery, put it in the battery tray. There is a kill switch down in this section here, just below the USB port. Hit that kill switch. There we go. We've got a Tearphone orbital animation. Shout out to Chris Skinner for doing that for me. So yeah, we've got a blue OLED on board. Here's the Proffie board, and that's it, right? Chassis works fine outside of the hilt. So once you get your battery in, once you've got your power on, you want to slide that chassis into the hilt and then tighten your pommel. There are those arrows animated. And there we've got those windows animated as well. All right, let's come down to the bottom. Okay, so here we go. I am really happy with how this thing came out. Let's see what else we got.
Ancient integration.
All right, let's put a blade in it really quick. Okay, so this is a 1-inch blade holder. You want to get your blade, it's nice and deep too, super deep blade holder. Get your blade rested on those PCB pins. There is a knurled thumb screw up front here. You can utilize that as your blade retention, and then you're ready to go. So this toggle switch is up for aux, down for main. I think I was flipped earlier, but yeah, so down to turn it on, up to activate flashes. All right, let's see what else we got on here. So twist to activate, twist to deactivate have been enabled. So to turn the hilt on, it's a little bit of a sweet spot, but you want to twist, activate, Twist to deactivate. That's it. One more. One more. Oops.
My name is Toby, and I'm a Jedi!
So different animations on these guys as well. And that's it. Right, so super unique hilt. I am really happy with the way that this one came out. I think that having, you know, not only some animation in the grills here, but getting those arrows lit was really cool. Sounds really good too. So that's it. To the client, I hope you enjoy your surprise. If anyone has any questions about this particular install or any questions really, please do not be a stranger. And with that being said, may the force be with you always. Thanks for watching, everybody.